money. They took my money. They took my money. They took my fucking money, man. Stop.
keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Bounce that ass, oh, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Bounce that ass, oh, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Bounce that ass, oh, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Bounce that ass, bounce, bounce, bounce. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Go, go, bitch, keep dancing. Bounce that ass, oh, bitch, keep dancing, dancing, dancing.
Oh, that's the Cinna raid alert. Yes. Hey. All right. I guess you know what. Now's as good as time as any to get going here. Hold on. Where did I put this? Where did I put this? Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Hopefully, you guys had a great time over there at Silence's Mario Party and then Deltarune thing. I have to get through my Deltarune playthrough at some point, but I have not quite. I played Undertale a lot, and it was a really good game. I really loved it. But then I know that Deltarune wasn't finished yet. And the end was nuts. Yeah, I mean, like back when I very first started doing the stream, I did Undertale on stream, and like it made me cry. And so it was great. And then I really hated the genocide run. That sucked. Yeah. And then but I really loved the game. That was great. And every now and then I still pull up the. Every now and then I'll pull up the. It's probably loud as hell, but I always pull up the Bad Time Simulator where you just sort of like. Here, hold on. Let me turn down the browser a bunch for both me and you guys. What was it? Yeah, you just sort of you get to just play against the final boss. Good time. It's hard as hell. I have no idea. Yeah, the story is heartbreaking. You hate it. It took me like 10 hours to beat this the first time I did it. Which was not an easy feat. Trying to do volume and do it at the same time. Oh, then I quit. It is satisfying, yeah. Well, I mean, I would say it's satisfying if I didn't actually like Sans and then didn't want to play it. I do what but that's you guys just too funny. Also, the music's a banger, and I assume that Toby Fox has made more music again with the thing. I messed up the run, obviously. I should be able to get through the whole thing without hitting it from here. Or not. Well, what's a little intimate among friends? Right. Yeah, he definitely knows how to make good video music. I had heard of Megalovania just like as a person on the internet before, but I had never actually. I didn't. I didn't know what it was. I never actually heard it in full, so it was a trip to actually like go, oh, this is what everybody's talking about. I thought it was like Metroid or something. I've even not having done this in a whole bunch of time, I remember every little thing just because I did this so many times. So poorly as well. I tried controller, I tried keyboard mouse, I tried arrow keys instead of WSAD. I tried a little bit of everything. You just gotta get good. That's all it is. And the web browser is pretty close to the right. Shit. It's a pretty good emulation for being in a browser. I always met up the easiest one. I even tried to pick up my. Well, I labeled the title of the stream. I'm going to be focused today, and now I'm playing Megalovania, or I'm playing a Sans fight. I'll just win, and then I can move straight on to what I wanted to do. Maybe I'll use this as an opportunity to discuss things. So the idea of going short tonight. Nice glasses in there. They have you see better? No, they don't. They literally have no magnification to them. They're just blue light glasses. And I worry that maybe if I sit here it's way too long with light shining on my eyes and I'm looking at monitors intensely, reading things, whatever. Maybe that's what leads to my brain fatigue and or eye fatigue, whatever it is. So I have them. I might as well use them from time to time. But I got gaster blasted. What the? Oh, he's taking a break. I was like, what the hell? Why the music cut? I was like, give me another level. Have you tried eye patch? No. Like a lazy eye? I don't think I have a lazy eye. They're both pretty good. They're pretty even. I noticed that when I close this eye, this one takes like a slightly bit longer to wake up. But that's cured pretty quick. Also, I just keep it open. Then, ta-da, problem solved. Yeah. I never thought of. I mean, I only ever thought you wore an eye patch if you had to. You just like wear out your two different eyes at different rates, I guess, that way. Oh, I hit the... I finally figured out what the problem with my vertical encoder versus my... not vertical encoder, but my vertical stream versus my horizontal stream for YouTube. So now that should be working properly, which is good. I thought you said you like, because I was trying to read it fast in between levels. I thought you said that you like an eye patch to rest your eye. But you mean, you just mean like a pirate eye patch to rest an eye. Context is important. I love this one. For some reason, I feel like I almost never take any damage at this part, just because something about it. Oh, wait. Okay, well, I don't have time now. I wanted to turn on my keyboard follower. Just because I've made it. Why not? Pretty sure this is the second to last level here. If I don't heal. So that would be the last one. Do I want to heal first? Nah, I'll be alright. Ow. Well, I just took some damage there. That's not good. Yarr. And now the parts I can either fuck me or I do fine. Whoop. Hey, now we're good. Unless I fuck it up accidentally. That can happen. What's a little Sans fight among friends? Like nothing. Dude, Sans better not catch me. Although then True Sim came out with like all those weird like alternate versions of the game that were like 100 times harder that I had no practice with. So yeah, I got my ass beat. So I'll see that I'm not very good at it. Okay. Well done. And now I can turn the browser back up. Both for you and me. All right. Okay, so tomorrow, I'm planning on hopefully going to Pride with either some people from the DSA or some people from just like myself. I think if I stream, I should definitely not like 100% force my friends from the DSA to all of a sudden be on stream out of nowhere. But there's like it's like 11 a.m. my time, so in about 10 hours, give or take. More give than take. Oh, right. Definitely. Hopefully that's better. Also, I was further away, which gives me a little bit less power overall. Mic discipline. I have to learn something now. I have changed a bit to be more free instead of wearing headphones where I can actually listen to my own output, immediately monitoring myself. I'm trying to get better at not doing that. Just because it's an added layer and it can be a crutch, but it can also be effective. Anyway, so I'm hoping to try out some IRL streaming tomorrow. It is just using a phone. I'll have my phone tethered to Kara's Wi-Fi, and then that's about it, really. And they're both just data, but there's two different versions of the same data because we all have the same plan. But I'm curious to see how well that'll work. I tried streaming once before with a different app and a different setup, and it didn't work out very well. It just kept shutting down. But I was using an iPad, linking to the RTMP from a DJI Pocket, and then that was having trouble, and a whole bunch of stuff. And that was also before I changed phone plans. So it's all kind of all very different now. So fingers crossed it's actually going to be effective and good, because I was kind of telling the DSA, like, hey, I'm pretty sure I know how to live stream, like, in public. And then I tried it once and it didn't work as a test, and I was like, shit. So tomorrow I would like to be able to do that, and that's early, so I don't want to spend too much time just streaming a bunch. I mean, I obviously wanted to stream because it's important for me to not only keep the habit up or whatever, but I want to do this every day. It's my thing. And also, it took me a long time today to get my TikTok made. My brother came over to visit, so there was some personal time. And then I just kind of like did a bunch of chores, just like vacuuming, dishes, some kind of stuff like that. I want to make sure that I am now the house husband. I'm now a trad husband. I want to like get a fucking apron with the little frills on it, right? I want to just sort of try to do like tomorrow. I'm probably gonna, well, tomorrow if I wake up, well, I probably won't wake up. Tomorrow I probably won't do much, just because maybe after Pride I might like mow the lawn or something. But I was thinking that I wanted to mow the lawn early in the morning, but it'll be in the afternoon, which is probably the hottest part of the day, which might suck. It might suck ass. Or some pearls. There you go. Yeah. I want some big, thick, yellow gloves. And then, yeah, I'm trying to think. Do they wear... They don't wear like a tiara. They wear like a bonnet or something. Some kind of weird thing in their hair. Then I just get my hair cut into a bob. Whatever. You get the idea. I'm Judy Jetson the robot, basically. So I want to make sure I get a little bit of something done, and I also want to do at least a little bit of exercise every day, whether that's my weight training, mostly weight training. But then there's other ones that are like more like squatting, moving, abs / calisthenic style. And then there's heavier, just like barbells and, you know, deadlifts and all that kind of stuff. Just because my muscles I know have atrophied quite a bit from when I was working out before. And that's not good. So I would like to get that part fixed. So I got to like build up. I'm trying to make sure I build up effective routines for myself, because I'm unemployed now, probably for the first time in my entire life. Yeah. He also is dapper in his glasses, approving of his self. And then also swole as hell. But no face tattoos for me. Not yet. Now, if I'm cheeky, I might count that live stream at Pride as my live stream, but maybe we will. Maybe we will. And I'll try to let a couple people know that I'm doing it totally off hours, like almost 12 hours early. But anyway, but yeah, it took me a while to get a TikTok made today just because I was trying to do the editing on it and did not edit very well. It's just a little joke, throwaway joke about the word Nani in both the song for Zohran and also that one Nani. You know, that's all it really is. But it's making sure I do it every day. What am I doing? I know the DSA has a table set up where they, you know, kind of just chill and give out paperwork. So like, and before we were really working hard on the, we were working hard on the campaign for Nick Carey. Back before that election happened, and then this time we're probably going to have a lot of dumb Duke information where it's just about getting municipal power in our area if we can convince people. So it might be like paperwork for signing the petition if they haven't quite put it up to them, or it might be like specific action, like make sure to call your so-and-so. Working hard or hardly working? I would say I'm probably working harder now, technically, than I was before, only because my job wasn't hard work before. That's one of the weird things about at least that layer of broadcast engineering and that layer of master control, because we were so consistent on what we did. I'd make sure to take my medicine today. At least this later dose. So I don't want to miss out on my Allegra. I'll get all like itchy and shit. Yeah, there wasn't a lot for me to do. It's possible that when I got climbed higher and higher in the ranks, I would have had more actual work to do. Does that count as a job or just volunteering? Well, a table at the for the DSA as people walk by and do stuff, because like there was the whole parade today. Kara went to that and she got like, you know, she got all kinds of sun and a bunch of, you know, crazy gay ass swag. I can say that because it's gay. It is actually gay. Just a bunch of rainbow stuff, and it's a lot of corporate stuff. It's a very corporate pride parade where like the banks come out and they give things out. Morgan Chase gives you some rainbow colored makeup, and you know, places will give you lots of pens and weird little knickknacks and wristbands and all kinds of stuff. But the other one's more like the average people kind of marching about, but all the booths set up are for people to walk around and sort of get freebies in the same kind of way. But as the DSA, it's like, hi, here's freebies. The DSA, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure the entire thing is all volunteer based. There's no like credit for it. It's not really like a charity organization. It's just a group of people who do stuff. Nobody gets paid. You know, they democratically elect people to different committees within it, but there's no like boss of the DSA. There's no, you know, there's people who like lead steering committees, but even those are all decided by people. There's a whole Robert's Rules thing where it's like progressive stack and, you know, a motion to move this seconded, all in favor, aye, you know, point of order, I would like to clarify, and okay, you know, so-and-so would like to have the floor, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, sometimes it's like, why are we doing all this bullshit for just like the most nothing of thing ever? But I guess if you want to do something right in democracy, it has to be done incredibly nuanced or done that way. Otherwise, you could worry that a cult of personality or some person could just strong arm their way through stuff or whatever. I don't know. I've never run an organization like that before, and or been a part of one before until now, other than like a club in high school or something. So it's not volunteering, I guess, technically, is what I'm trying to say. It's just doing something for the cause, which is volunteering, right? I don't know. I guess if some bus driver asks what I'm doing, I could say I'm volunteering for the DSA. They go, oh, okay, got it. And that's all they have to think. I mean, they don't even know what the DSA is. They go, okay, you're just doing something for somebody. Got it. You're working for free, right? That's what it is most of the time. I'm gonna grab my drink. I already picked out the videos that I was thinking would make sense to watch, which title somewhat sort of like leads into. which is a couple of Zohran specific. So why would I say it so weird? Probably because I hear it all the time, but then I say it in my own head, but I never actually make the mouth do the thing. So I've missed out sometimes on the practice. We're not going to get the yawn counter up. Not yet. Not yet, god damn it. Yeah. So I'm going to go grab the drink, and then we have the couple things to watch, and then we still have some fun stuff to watch, because I'm not going to, like, end stream at fucking, like, 2 a.m. or something stupid. So, but let me go grab that real fast. Whoa. I see a YouTube chatter. It is my mom, but it is a YouTube chatter. Hey. Publicly documented the DSA is their finance director with a salary range of it's a decent salary. I guess there are jobs in like the full actual DSA like roles, whatever it is, like as far as like the complete organization head of it, but definitely the individual chapters. Because like when other people were losing their jobs, and even when I was losing my job, I was like, because they approached me to be the treasurer because they lost their treasurer because he had to go back to DC because of Elon Musk's changes or whatever. And they were like, "Do you want to be the treasurer?" And I was like, "Well, I have some free time coming up. Would that be a conflict of interest if I'm a Twitch streamer and I wanted to talk about my own things or things the DSA is doing?" They're like, "No, it doesn't. It's not that official." And I'm like, "It's not paid, is it?" And they're like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Okay, well," and I still applied for it. I tried and I made a speech, but then some librarian came across who was like actually super awesome, and their speech was like way better than mine. I was almost like, "Hey, don't vote for me, vote for them." But everybody else is still like, a few of my friends were like, they still were like, "Well, we just know you more, so just, go up there and do it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, hey." And then I lost the election like 60-40 or something. I don't know. I'm basically the Andrew Cuomo of the DSA Treasury seat. So I'm a loser. I'm a loser in everything. All right. All right, let me go grab that drink real fast. I sent his mom and YouTube, yeah. Unfortunately, the YouTube chat is not on screen because technically it's against terms of service, and Nutty was recently banned. We watched the video on it last night. Even though it may not actually have been for that purpose, but maybe it was. It's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, I like breaking rules, and I like pushing the envelope at times, or like, because I don't drive the exact speed limit, right? I drive with the flow of traffic somewhere around 5 miles an hour, or 10% of the speed limit ish. I'm definitely one of the slower drivers out there, just as a thing. Yeah. Well, he was only banned for a day, and that was a day he usually takes us off anyway. So technically, he was like, it's not a big deal, but also, what the hell? And he's the one that makes a lot of these little widget things that I use. And the one that got me on the streamer bot altogether. Love soda so much. You couldn't believe the happiness I had when. Let me see. Diet soda as hydrating. UCLA Health. Oh, that's not what it was. I know there's a graph for it. Oh, flashbang. Is this not what I think it is? All right, where's the highlighted section? Percent particularly 3% weight loss. Weight loss. Speaking of weight loss, my brother lost a bunch of weight. This is not what I was looking for. That's weight loss. Study finding diet soda as hydrating as still water. I'm totally not doing misinformation. What the? Now I'm going to be picking and choosing and finding the specific thing I'm looking for. Hey, there we go. That's the graph I was looking for. So still water, control. Diet Cola, slightly higher. Hell yeah. That's all I needed to see. I should turn back on this thing. It helps a little bit. Sometimes the auto dark mode thing was too dark, so I made it like just a little grayer, just to take the edge off. Okay. Thank you, Dens100, for the music. He's also a streamer. I think he's from Australia, so he might even be awake at the end of our stream. We'll see. Okay. This is a Majority Report thing. If you don't know the Majority Report, they're a pretty cool little TV show podcast thing. Live. They have YouTube streams, take phone calls, cover a lot of stuff. And also, the guy from Bob's Burgers is Sam Cedar. He's the guy. The guy who voices the health inspector, I think his name. I forget the character's name. But also, he's incredibly smart and awesome.
A wide array of responses.
So Zohran wins exposes
Zohran Mamdani.
I should definitely
really
change the title there.
Spanking Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary for mayor. Now, just an update.
It's just because the Zohran campaign was awesome, and I was really happy that I was able to actually go up to New York on our vacation, the same vacation where we did the thing, right? The same vacation. I was able to dedicate a little bit of time, to doing a canvas. Now, the canvas we did, it's really much harder than in Florida, because every little apartment building in this area had like a little punch code, did the thing. Oh. Yeah. This is the New York Hilton. Oops. Oops. Ah. Huh? And we made sure to find the exact street. There is a sign right. Oh, can you see it? Hold on. There's a sign right here that says "No guns." No guns. Anyway, yeah, it was really cool to be able to do the canvas. They had an awesome little crowd of people doing the canvas. Everybody was, working hard. This was back in May, so he was still pretty low in the polls, but he was climbing at this point. He had some notoriety and some attention. His video team was great. He's in a great personality on camera, and also he has good policies and does well at communicating them. But it was really hard to do the canvassing because normally in Florida, apartments, houses, most of the time you can just walk up, knock on them, whatever. But in New York, everyone lives in an apartment, so there's not like front lawns and suburbs generally, at least not in the Manhattan area. And every place has like a little numpad punch code thing that you have to like call and say hello, and they don't let you in when you say, "Hi, I'm here to canvass for a candidate." They go, "Oh, no," and that's it. Like I specifically, okay, this is actually kind of funny. I specifically was told by the security guy, and I was like, "Hi, being honest, I'm not gonna lie and say delivery or whatever, right? I'm just like, hi, I'm here to just let the tenants know about a candidate for running for mayor. Technically, it's not considered solicitation because that's what volunteering or whatever for political candidates is supposed to be. You're not allowed to hang things on mailboxes, so you can't just stuff them in there. All the little literature or flyer drop. You're not allowed to put that in the mail because it's not actually U.S. mail because it's not posted, and that's illegal to go through the mail thing. But there was a guy who was like, okay, call my manager and he'll give you a code to let you in. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yep, ready for the number? I go, okay. I'm sitting there sweating, all my, canvas shit on me. Oh yeah, this is back in early May. So when I called him, I was like, hi, I'm doing this. And the guy basically said, I forget the exact words he said, but he said basically like, no, go fuck yourself, you piece of shit, fuck you. And I'm just like, your employee told me to call you. Okay, that's it. And then he texted me back, and he texted me to formalize my response. You are not authorized to enter 45th East 7th Street. If it comes to my attention that you entered and distributed literature in our building, I will file a complaint with the campaign and the campaign election board. And I was just like, oh God, which is really funny because it's like, that wasn't what you said on the phone, just so you know. So I appreciate the clarification. He probably thought to himself, that's not technically the right thing to say to somebody who has a legal right to do something like this. So I'll make sure to formalize it in a text message back to cover my ass. It's like, okay. I don't know if New York is very professional. I mean, he's some guy who did not like that I was calling him up at like 8 p.m. or whenever it was that we were doing it, because so we had to punch all the numbers and most places wouldn't open the door, so we didn't get a lot of actual like flyer drops. We only got about through like 25-40% of the way through our thing, and then we had to meet up with the people again and give them back the rest of it because we had a cat cafe to go to. So then we got to go and sit and hang out with a bunch of cats, which was really cute. And we were also very sweaty and very tired because we've been running around doing a bunch of stuff. And then the end of all of that, a canvas, and then running over to the cat hotel or the cat cafe. All that to say, we were told and had a lot of hope for his campaign, and then see him actually continue to get more and more media attention, see him fucking dominate the debate, and then come out and not even win after multiple rounds of ranked choice consolidation like that happened at the previous one with Eric Adams winning. He won basically the first round, which is insane. The employee led me on the wrong path, but I've been an employee before where I go, look, I have not been told how to handle this exact scenario, so talk to my boss, and that's what he's been told to do, So it's like, that's it. Like when I was doing movie rentals and they're like, hey, I don't like all these late fees I have. And I go, oh, really? Well, that you have to take up with the manager. And I get to just sit there and just do nothing. And it's like, no longer my problem. Someone's like, I want a refund. And I go, oh, as a KFC Taco Bell guy, I go, well, hold on. Let me get my manager. Like, hold on. Now it's no longer my problem because I can help you do all kinds of things. But as soon as you actually want something like substantial, it's like, wait a second. Now I get to do nothing. So it's also been really interesting because Zohran wins Democratic primary. What they say they care about, they rigged the thing to stop Bernie from doing it, and they said, "See, Bernie, you didn't win the primary, et cetera, right?" But then Zohran wins. Zohran. I just got to not think about his name and say. He wins the primary, and you'd think all the Democrats would go, okay, that's our guy. He won, right? But no, not the case. I know, the Zohran, yeah. Don't mess with the Zohan. Yeah, I think that might be the issue, is my mind naturally goes back to the mid-2000s when that came out. Something like that, 2009 or something. I don't know.
Cuomo has decided that there is not going to be, he is not going to give up his ballot access. The deadline passed, I think, yesterday. That does not mean that he's going to run, but it does sound like he's going to see how much money he can get to run.
I was thinking that because people were talking about how even if, so like he missed the deadline to get off the ballot, but he didn't necessarily say that he's not going to continue campaigning because lots of people end up still on the ballot, but they're not actually running because they know they won't actually win. So they just they don't care. So, but he's like, you know what? If I keep my name on the ballot, people might still fundraise and just give me money. So you know what? I'll just keep it on there. We'll see what happens, right? Keeping the door open, which is not necessarily the best, not the best sport for when it's like, hey, you should be like supporting. It's like whenever all the Republicans lose their primary, they go, all right, well now I will support Donald Trump, right? Like that's not what's happening here, is it? He's still kind of not, yeah.
They are scrambling big time. I'm sure you guys yesterday spoke about the Bill Ackman.
Yep, segment 1.
Insane rant on. I've been getting up in the middle of the night, like at 3, and I know I shouldn't go on Twitter, but like I still, because of the whole Zohran thing, like I do. And I saw him. He had tweeted at 1 in the morning. And it was literally something that he must have been writing all day. And it ended with, we're going to do a write-in candidate. And I will tell you, the level of insanity associated with something like that is enormous. And just on top of the fact that, like, dude, you're literally saying that you're going to try and buy this election. This is all stuff that you should never have written down for publishing.
That was one of the things that really hurt Elon Musk when he did his "I'm attempting to buy an election" thing, because people they didn't like the optics of him doing it, and they realized how much more money he had poured in as a nonpartisan person. It's like, well, we don't necessarily like that actually, so kind of sours the whole feeling. And just imagine, as always, just imagine if Bernie was like, I'm going to be a write-in candidate. I'm going to make my own party with blackjack and hookers, and I'm going to fight against Hillary. They would have lost their minds. They would have lost their minds.
I mean, you should never do any of what you're talking about, and you shouldn't be you. But I understand that you are. But you should not be tweeting that out like that. It is in your absolute worst interest, which allows me to believe that, honestly, he's just crazy. I know you've gone over yesterday a wide array of the right-wing bigotry that was unleashed, and it's almost as if they it is what I call everything bagel bigotrism. And they don't know which element of the bagel, of the everything on the bagel, that they want to focus in on. And I understand folks like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck.
Hakeem Jeffries, the Speaker minority of the House, replacement for Nancy Pelosi, who has been called out for being a do-nothing guy and being like, guys, I don't know what you want from me. Trump's the president. Ah, shucks. We can't really fight back. Sorry, everybody. Ah, shucks. Sorry.
Chuck Schumer, giving sort of half-hearted, not so congratulations or, recognition because, of course, their donors are very concerned about Mamdani, probably.
Right, because I also forgot that Hakeem is from New York, I believe. Technically, he's like a representative or something to be in the House from a certain district. And as a representative that is then has a mayoral within it, and you're a big party person, you should be like, oh, congratulations. I support you in your run for this thing because I'm a Democrat. You won the Democratic primary. Hooray. But they're like, oh, we acknowledge that he won. He did a great job. And it's like, do you endorse him? And then they walk into the elevator and walk away. And it's like, why are you so obviously a piece of shit and evil? Chuck Schumer, the Senate leader for the Democrats, and then Hakeem Jeffries, the House leader for the Democrats.
More
Both
from
did
a
it.
taxation standpoint. And also, broadly speaking, they all know that things like this create broader implications in our body politic. It's not just New York City they're worried about. It's not just the added 2% if I make over $1 million.
Oh, please let it not just be New York. Oh, please let it not just be New York.
You know, the $20,000 for a millionaire is just, you know, people like $20,000 if you have $1 million, but it's not that big of a deal. They are concerned about it spreading and it giving people hope. And it's the precedent they're concerned about. But I have to say that with all of that, as jaded as I am, I was shocked to hear the audio of Kristen Gillibrand on WNYC. And I'll tell you something, like, I heard about this seconds after it was on air from total normies who texted me and were like,
I wanted to pull up a graph that's similar that I like to think about. Is this? Yeah. Oh my God, this graph is huge. Why is it so big? Oh my God, the graph is huge. Okay. I don't know why it's so big. Diminishing returns. The richer a family gets, the smaller the reduction in negative emotions gained by the marginal dollar increase in household income. Gains disappear around $200,000. So as a family, you know, as you're getting $10,000, you're just making major improvements. The money you're making at these levels is just dramatically improving your life. But then after you get to a certain point of, I guess, I'm not sure if this is considered household income or individual income, but as you start getting richer and richer, the extra money you make doesn't really do much for you. Where like making a little bit more money per marginal dollar does basically nothing for you. And like, it seems like as a society, we should be pushing people right around this marker, right around this, like, this little hump and this little like plateau where like obviously your life continues to improve, but obviously it's not improving as much as it used to because it used to be so much more important, but it's still good. But then this substantial drop down is just like, yeah, how about we focus on keeping people's income around this area? So then like you could have taxes, not even down to the 200,000 level, but like a $500,000. Or even $1 million, fuck it, right? Have some pretty steep taxes way past this point. You're really not going to impact people's happiness. That's the thing. But if you're able to bring so many more people to this area, and maybe, you know, you wouldn't have to have the graph start at these number values if, as these taxes are evolved, then people can have free resources like housing, rent, no longer a substantial cost against you. Great public transit. So then like your car and keeping a license, all that kind of stuff is not nearly as important. Registration, insurance costs, you can diminish all of those things. So you don't even need as much money. So then this graph would even begin to like shift a little bit further down. Or you can just use the same money for disposable things that can then increase happiness to actually keep this, even though you're making less money, because you can actually use that money in a disposable way, it still keeps you in a similar happiness range. Because they don't need it. They show they don't need it. It's one of those things. So that's kind of what he was talking about with like people who make $1 million. They just don't get the same, you know, juice from the squeeze. You know what I mean?
you cannot believe, all Jews, incidentally, too. I mean, yeah,
he's Jewish.
Actually,
he's Jewish.
I heard it from 3 people within like 10 minutes who listened to Brian Lear, which I now okay. Back in the day at Air America, at one point I was on against him, in which case it was not appropriate to listen to him. But they all texted me some variation of, you cannot believe what Kristen Gillibrand just did on Brian Lear's show. It was bizarre, insane, bigoted, nuts, I think were some variation of those. Here is Now, understand, Brian Lear's show, it's a local show, but it's in New York City, so it's quite large. It's bigger than most, and probably national shows even, maybe, or some. He takes phone calls. When he has guests on, he takes phone calls, and they ask the guest question. And you will always get a wide array of guests. So the issue here is not so much, I'm not so surprised about the caller, and I'm not so surprised about the caller, sort of like presenting a series of lies or exaggerations or manipulations that Lear can't address. And to be clear, Lear was not a Mamdani guy in the run-up to the election. But I don't know. I think he was almost worried about getting sued at this point. But listen to not just the caller. That's almost less relevant. It is less relevant. Listen to Kristen Gillibrand. This is her speaking, incidentally, hot off the heels of her midwifing the Genius Act. I mean, I don't know if she was the author, but she was certainly one of the co-sponsors. The Genius Act is a crypto bill that is going to be, I guarantee you, I don't know that I'll still be around. Maybe I'll be down to one a week at that point. But in 5, 10, 15 years, we're going to have a financial meltdown, and it's going to be because of this. Among other things, probably, but that Genius bill. But this is just completely insane.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for taking my call and question. I wanted to ask two very pertinent questions about the threats facing the Jewish community, unfortunately, from Zohran Mamdani. There was a bill that I was reading about that, unfortunately, he wants to target synagogues and Jewish institutions which donate to nonprofits, which are medical institutions like United Hatzalah and Magan David Adam, which is like the Jewish Red Cross. So how do we make sure that Jewish institutions are protected from his plans to punish and fine our institutions which fundraise these medical nonprofits, which do work both here in the United States and in Israel and other countries in the world? And also, how can we hold Mr. Mamdani accountable for his glorifying association of Hamas and other terror bombings of the Intifada in 1990s, where over 1,000 Jewish Israelis were killed, to his revisionist Holocaust knowledge, to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where Jews were mass exterminated and faced threats? He compared when Jews were killed to when Jews...
Now, obviously, Sam is going to discuss how they always like to say that, oh, yeah, he loves terrorism and he defends these terrorism because they don't understand what the word intifada means. Or as the infant Tada, as Cuomo would put it. So I'm sure he's going to discuss this.
fought back against Nazis. It's quite despicable. I'm sorry.
Gabe, thank you for your call. There's a lot in there, Senator, some of which may be inaccurate. So I don't know. I can't fact check everything in real time. But do you know any of that to be inaccurate or accurate, including the original premise that he would somehow target synagogues if they were contributing to groups like Hatzalah, ambulance services, in a way that he could hurt the synagogues? I just don't want to give out information that's false, but I also don't want to shrink from information that's true.
Well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people...
So not anything to do with what they were talking about before by specifically trying to definance synagogues. That's not what she was just saying. Oh, yeah, he said reference to the global jihad, which is also not what he said.
People that glorify the slaughter of Jews.
Pause it for a second.
Create fear in our...
That's her first lie. He didn't say we should engage in global jihad.
You know, people have their built-in Islamophobia from the early 2000s, right? And they just never really addressed it or looked into it. So they just end up, oops, intifada, jihad, who knows? I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I'm just going to kind of like put it all into one big ball in my head. And every time I hear something, it all sticks at the same thing. And I assume it's all the same thing.
Like, you're a U.S. senator. And incidentally, this is obviously sped up a little bit. So, like, this wasn't, she misspoke, I guess. She's being very fast and loose. Global jihad. Okay.
past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global
Pause it for a second.
is
People that glorify the slaughter of Jews create
what the
fear in
fuck?
our communities. Who's glorifying the slaughter of Jews? Who is it that she's talking? She's talking about Zohran Mamdani. Is she claiming he's glorifying the slaughter of Jews? Maybe Christian Gillibrand should.
God, it's just so crazy when you say it, you go like, it sounds bad when you say it, but it's a lie. But I'll say it because I would prefer he not tax millionaires. So we're going to just kind of like say people are alarmed and people are concerned about lies. And I'm going to repeat them and also continue getting them even more wrong than they were originally. And just go, geez, people are just asking questions. People are alarmed. You know, should you also be alarmed? Maybe. But they're just working off of complete falsehoods. And it's like, we hate you now. I hope you realize that. We can see through you. But they're hoping that people don't pay enough attention to it because...
Call Brad Lander. Maybe Christian, is her name Christian Gillibrand or is it Kristen? I think it's Kristen. Maybe she should check in with a Jew before she starts claiming that Mamdani is glorifying the slaughter of Jews. Unbelievable.
This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. So
pause it for a second. That is also a lie. It doesn't mean either one of those things. Like, in no possible way does it mean kill all the Jews. It doesn't really mean destroy Israel either. But like that's like 3 steps away. If you wanted to sort of like really, fudge it a little bit, you could get to destroy Israel or destroy the ethno-state as opposed to, like a political revolution. But in no one's even fever dreams does it mean kill all the Jews or any Jews.
These are the kinds of things that
Kanye
if
West isn't that wild.
Mr. Mamdani is elected our mayor, we'll need to assure all New Yorkers that he will protect all Jews and protect houses of worship and protect funding for not-for-profits that meet the needs of communities. Those are the things.
Pause it. Maybe she doesn't get over-the-air television, and maybe she hasn't heard of Colbert. But like, in addition to him doing this on the campaign over and over again, he was on with Brad Lander being extremely explicit about this. And Brad Lander saying, like, in fact, not only we're going to have, to have a Jew and a Muslim going around campaigning together is as New York as it gets. And incidentally, those not-for-profits that meet the needs of these communities, the needs, the community that she's referring to, maybe she doesn't know, are illegal settlements in the West Bank that were illegal under Joe Biden. Now, Israel has said that they're legal now. They're still illegal under what has been everybody's past policy, including Biden's, maybe short of Donald Trump's, and certainly international law.
He'll have to do as our mayor.
He would certainly say that he has committed to protecting all Jews in New York as mayor of New York. Do you dispute?
Pause it for a second. Now, Lear says this in a sideways way. He said, well, he has committed. It's not that he would say that. He has committed. Now, you may not believe him. He could be a secret sleeper cell. But he not only would say that he said that, he has said that. Go ahead.
Do you doubt that?
Well, one of the issues I did talk to him yesterday was exactly this issue, and he has agreed to work with me on this and to protect all residents.
Okay, pause.
This is something I care
this
deeply
is where Kristen Gillibrand seems to have a repeat offender despicable problem. If you read the Jane Mayer story about Al Franken, she came out and called for his resignation when it was already clear that he was going to do that. And her coming out and saying, like, she's going to take credit for him to protect all. No, he's been saying that from day one. Go ahead.
This is something I care deeply about, and so I will be an advocate on these issues. These are things that I think are important to New Yorkers.
Oh, pause it. You know what else she was an advocate on? It seems to me sexual harassment in the military, and I'm trying to think who it was that Zohran Mamdani was running against.
Who could it be?
Oh, yes, a serial sexual harasser. Go ahead.
Advocate on these issues. These are things that I think are important to New Yorkers, and I will work with him when he gets elected, if he gets elected, to make sure everyone is protected. I also, on the federal level, work to get resources for all our religious sites in the state and in the city. I lead the letter for funding for I lead the letter for the funding to protect synagogues and churches.
I was just pulling up some information about the West Bank settlements and how they are considered illegal under international law, which is just reinforcing the same thing that they're talking about. Because for some reason, they constantly ask the person running for New York mayor, hey, what do you think about Israel? And it's like, huh? Like, hey, what do you think of Azerbaijan? Hey, what do you think of, the Baldies? And it's like, I don't know. I'm running for mayor. It's like it's like when we have people running for city council, in the Tampa Bay area, and they'll go like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do about the Supreme Court in Washington D.C.? And it's like, nothing. I can't do anything. I can just go, or I got or I can go, ha. That's all I can really do, right? So the fact that they're so bizarrely concerned about them supporting this other nation, and then also for some reason supporting them in their incredibly illegal activities is another thing where it's like, you would think that you would be like, hey, you agree that these international illegal activities are illegal, and you agreeing to that would at least give us the confidence that you understand law and order of the global understanding of what is and what isn't. And then they don't even want that either. They want to ask you about a thing that doesn't matter to the circumstances, and then they also want you to have the pro illegal view specifically, which is wild.
And temples and places of worship across our city and state.
Oh, wait a second. I'm trying to think of what are the three big religions in the state. Christianity, they go to churches, and Jews go to temples, although sometimes you call it synagogues. Hindus go.
Ooh, I don't know enough about that. I don't know I didn't know that there was temple and synagogue is two different things, or just two different words for the same thing. Out of my jurisdiction.
Go to temple.
That about covers it.
I feel like that. Mosques.
I'll have to look that up in the dictionary.
It's funny how global jihad comes right to mind, but mosque, I forgot the name of it.
For the funding to protect synagogues and churches and temples and places of worship across our city and state. And these are things that he has assured me in my one conversation that he will protect everyone. But I understand why people are concerned because of past statements. And so this is just an issue that I will work with him on for sure.
I just feel compelled to say we can find no evidence that he has supported Hamas or has supported violent jihad, as that caller was asserting.
If you see her in other things, you know that, oh, she's the piece of shit. Just so you can put a name to a face. Sometimes it helps, because I'm really bad with names, but sometimes it's helpful.
Again, Brian, I don't have all the data and information, and I've never sat down with Mr. Mamdani. So I've asked to have that meeting. I'm going to have that meeting. We will talk through all these things. He can tell me his views of the world.
Oh, pause it. I hope we can we get a live stream of you asking him if he's in favor of Hamas and violent jihad? This is just unbelievable.
She's a senator.
If she doesn't get primaried, I will be shocked. If she doesn't get primaried, I may just spare my run against Schumer and run against her.
Whoa, did I miss something? Is he running against Schumer or planning on it? It's a New York State senator. So there's two, Schumer and Gillibrand. Gillibrand?
Oh, did I say that?
Get the Kirsten out.
Someone's gonna get re-Gillibranded. I don't know. We got to work on the slogan.
This video was a little slow, unfortunately.
We will win. We will win.
I guess it's a soundbite of Chuck Schumer.
It's unbelievable it's unbelievable. She needs to issue an apology, multiple apologies.
Well, her comms person said she misspoke, so not enough to apologize for it, but she misspoke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was this she misspoke? Was this a special episode of the Brian Lear Show, not on in the late morning, but rather at like 3 a.m. on a Friday night? Hey, folks, don't forget.
And then, so that's somebody from the Democratic side making up lies, saying things that are purposefully. It's not even just, it's not even just feeding off of the lies of the caller, but then ignoring the parts that you could refute, and instead saying, well, people have concerns. It's why people rightfully hate the Democrats in many ways. 19% approval rating overall across Americans. And we were talking yesterday about it a little bit. And it's... Oh, I never casted my thing. Hold on. I hit my sources. TV, no audio. This monitor, sure. And I put the damn rifle. All right. Always have your gun sitting on top of your remote caddy. Anyway, we were talking yesterday about... No, I was talking about guns. Damn it. Guns win again. Oh, how the Democrats are evil, and in some ways, you could argue, despite Republicans being incredibly evil, because you have a two-party system, Omega Hitler here, and then the only viable opposition to Hitler, and then knowing that they're as shitty as possible, and they do their best to not actually get anything done, and they don't want to make life better for people. So then either they win and nothing gets better and things stay status quo, or they rightfully lose because they suck, but then Omega Hitler over here. So it's like you're blocking the only... You're running defense for them, which is... And you also know... You agree that it's bad, or yes, you say you do, which is just... It's just evil in its own way. Fuck them. But now we can see what Glenn Beck has said. This was from today, actually.
And they have all of their favorite candies there. The Marxist, the communist, the guy from Africa, the guy with the crazy name.
The guy from India.
The guy from India. Muslim.
Pro-trans.
Pro-trans. Like,
obviously, these are snippets from a full broadcast, so sometimes there's some context, whatever. I don't watch his full broadcast. I usually would just end up watching his YouTube clips, or whatever. Or I end up watching people watching his YouTube clips. So.
It's all there, and it's as if, like, they want to put... They're so frustrated by having only one hand that can go into one jar at one time that they, like, are trying to go into all the jars at the same time. They're in a absolute frenzy.
Paralyzed by choice.
And here is Glenn Beck.
Okay, that's what I was like, what's going
When was it? Do you remember when they were doing all the stories about him? He realized how wrong he was and how upset he was. Yes, or maybe it was in the wake of Trump. Like Trump is too much, and well, so much for that project.
Glenn Beck, famous right-wing commentator. I don't believe he ever held office of any kind. My memory is shot, and I've only turned on a part of my mind for a while, but the political part where I try to like learn things. So pretty sure he never held office. Pretty sure he's just been a radio host, very like Rush Limbaugh kind of guy, just in his own different way.
Man, Z100 852. Something weird is going on.
Yeah.
The World Trade Center is on fire.
Oh my Seriously, the top of the building. We're trying to get information.
Top level of one of the news to unfold from New York's.
Why is he just sitting there chilling? Also, goddamn, I'm really interested in seeing this studio that he has. He's got his small confidence monitors here, and then an insane 4-display video wall, a teleprompted camera here, a camcorder looking thing here, and then the same teleprompter feed over here, I guess, when he just wants to keep reading his thing but not look at the lens. And then multi-viewer of different, like, this is kind of the looking shit that we would have in the control room at my work. It's just interesting to see it in this deranged setup. Oh wow. And he has his camera on a motion slider. This means nothing. Also, he's sitting there with his IFB out of his ear. Not aware that he's online? I don't understand.
A plane crashed. Just
My sister's in that building.
Okay.
And I hope she's okay. And I gotta run to New York. Oh my God! Complete pandemonium.
First of all, calm down.
There's raining papers and ashes.
Wait a minute! Stop just a second. Why are we going in the... I've got breaking news. Breaking news yesterday. New York City just...
Oh, he has 2 IFBs, but he leaves one out. Our producers always hated it when they did this because it looks like a weird piece of chewed bubblegum on your lapel. It's interesting that they use the same type of earpieces, well, similar. These are acoustic tubes. I guess I'm not enough of an engineer to understand it, but like in-ear monitoring devices use these little drivers, and then I have like a wireless version, right? Come on, camera. I believe in you. I must have my focus tracking stuck on something else. But anyway, there's small little IMEs, in-ear monitoring devices, and they're like 100,000 times clearer than a crappy speaker on the back of your neck that then feeds into a plastic tube that then routes the audio through a plastic tube. It just plays a speaker like a tin can through a string, and then it goes through the tube into an earpiece and then into your ear. I don't understand why we use them, because those tubes would be shitty, full up with earwax and not be very clear and whatever. I just don't understand. I think it's because we just use them for so long. And Glenn Beck's also been around for a long time, so it's possible that he also uses them for that reason. If there's an audio understander who knows why they use those things, I'm very interested, because like it seems like it sucks. And like there even is wired versions of in-ear monitoring that just, instead of it going to a wireless transmitter, it just goes to a wire that would go through the same pack on his back that he has already. What the fuck? He has a specifically fitted earpiece. It's not like he's not safe. Not like he's being cheap about it. He's spending money. I don't know.
Elected as their mayoral candidate for the left and the Democrats, a Muslim radical who is also a...
I'm a communist. Technically, he's a socialist. Technically, he's like a Dem socialist. So he's a not even technically a full socialist, at least not vocally. Also, they love to say he's a Muslim, as if it's a pejorative or something.
Communist.
Well, socialist, but okay.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
see?
it only took you 25 years. It only took you 25 years, New York, to go completely insane. You know, somebody who...
It's like he's saying that, like, the Islamophobia that existed post 9/11 was good and should have continued in perpetuity forever. That's the basis of his statement, which I feel like everyone knows. They go, hey, I'm not racist. Okay. Hey, I'm not racist. That's what everybody does. They love to be like, I'm not racist, but they love to do that thing, right? And like, hey, it's wrong to be racist. I hate everybody equally. You know, they have all their little things that they like to say. But he's just openly saying the racism that we had back then, or the Islamophobia specifically, Muslim phobia, whatever they had specifically, the hate that was in their hearts should have continued still. 25 years is not enough for progress. And it's like, okay. What? Like, when do you think it's appropriate for people to remove that stain from ourselves? Like, he doesn't even feel like it's a stain. He's acting like it's a good thing. Also, I will find it super hilarious that the first Muslim NFL coach coached the New York Jets. So the first Muslim in the NFL on the coaching side wasn't a New York Jet. You know, whatever. 9/11 joke.
Who is,
Pause it.
Well, I mean,
pause it. I just want to, we need to walk through this. He plays this montage of getting of 9/11. Our sanity was defined by being a victim of a terrorist attack in New York, according to him. And now we've gone absolutely crazy. Okay, first off, these guys were out marching against a Muslim community center that was like 4 blocks away.
But you've got a communist.
I hit a button.
Our sanity was defined by New York, according to him. And now we've gone absolutely crazy. Okay, first off, these guys were out marching against a Muslim community center that was like 4 blocks away from Ground Zero. This is a Muslim community center. In fact, that's where Laura Loomer, I think, made her hay in that day. You have forgotten to hate Muslim people, is what Glenn Beck is saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
He is.
Hey, I'm stoked.
Literally.
I'm stoked that I'm precogging the points that he's going to critique, because I'm new at this, right? I'm new at this, so, and I haven't watched people watch these videos to then know what they did or whatever it is. I just, because I'm like doing things socially or physically, and then I'm here doing this now and not watching the streamers I would normally watch. Like, I get a little bit of time if I wake up in time to watch a bit of Hassan or something, but then it's like, I got to make my TikToks and do my chores and all these different things. So it's like, I'm happy that I'm like, because sometimes when you just sit there and consume endlessly, you end up being not as good at doing it in person as you might think you are. Case in point, when I was in college and I had my bit of freedom, and I was already a big procrastinator and not good at the old-fashioned way of studying and being good at the stuff that I used to be good at back in like elementary school, middle school. I would sit in the lecture and listen to the professor talk about calculus 2, and I'm like, yes, the sine. Yes, we're integrating for the function and finding the area. Of course. You know, other calculus things I have long forgotten. Makes complete sense to me. Homework? Pass. I'll play World of Warcraft or something else instead. Fuck around, waste my time. And then I sit down for the test and I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucked. So me sitting here listening to political commentators and go, yes, I also would have made that counterpoint. Yes, I would have brought up this topic. It's different than being able to do it in practice, is all I'm saying. Hooray me.
Literally comparing the state lawmaker winning a mayoral primary to a day where two planes flew into the tallest buildings in the country, killing 3,000 people. They're the same thing to him. Go ahead.
Completely insane. Somebody who is, well, I mean, if I might quote Michael Malice today, I am old enough to remember when New Yorkers endured 9/11 instead of voting for it. But you've got a communist jihadist apologist now who was,
funny that he also said that he's a jihadist apologist, just like Gillibrand just did in the previous video. Supposed to be the senator in an incredibly blue state that should be like on the bleeding edge of being, because it's like the Texas Republicans are like some of the most Republicans we got. So you think that the New York Democrats would be some of the most Democrats that we have, the most left, right? No, not at all. Actually, closer to the right for some reason. Literally saying the same shit as the right for some reason. I wonder why that is. And why would there also be 19% approval rating for them? And why would people be hoping that we can splinter off and create a new party, or just eat the party from the inside out and replace it?
Well, CARE put $100,000 behind his bid for New York City mayor. So you got somebody who's endorsed by CARE.
Man, classic.
$100,000. That's almost that's almost 3% of the money that the billionaires put behind Cuomo.
Is that 1/300th?
That's really good. He also was somebody who,
I don't know enough about what CARE is, and I don't think I assume it's not a bad thing, but
who said, he was for the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO.
What?
He said he was looking forward to driving down Mangione Avenue, which I don't know. It sounds like supporting killing people in the streets. Maybe it's just me. Then he also said that he was going to globalize the Intifada, which
Jesus! Wait! Why do you have to pick your nose right in the middle of that thing? Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. I mean, what do I know? Tim Miller, who's a podcaster, asked him a few weeks ago about his pro-Palestinian slogan, globalize the Intifada. And he said, well, to me, ultimately, what I hear in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights and standing up for Palestinian human rights. Oh, is that what you hear, Mr. Kerr? Really? That's what you, that's interesting. Right. So globalize the Intifada. I mean,
pause it for a second. Let's break down that critique of what he said there. It was, is that what you hear? Oh, okay. For them on the right, it's literally all you have to say over and over again is, he's Muslim. He's Muslim. Oh, all right. You're Muslim. Okay. All right. Okay. You're Muslim. Oh, okay. Muslim. Go ahead.
That's, I mean, well, let me go on because I don't want to take him out of context. He then delved into the semantics of the Intifada, citing the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum's use of the word as a translation for uprising in an Arabic version of an article the museum.
No. It does not mean uprising. It's like struggle.
And published about the Warsaw Ghetto. Oh, so this is just a comparison about the armed rebellion against the Nazis. I don't know if that makes me feel better.
The Holocaust Museum, as of like 6 months ago, famously had information about the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, where people fought back against their horrible fascist oppressors, right? Specifically a Jewish ghetto that tried to free themselves or fight back against the tyranny of the Nazi regime. And when that same information that's in the Holocaust Museum was translated to Arabic, they referred to it as the Intifada of the Warsaw Ghetto, in all Arabic, whatever it is. And it's been like that for forever. And then because of recent pushback, because of all the new Israel war on Gaza and claims of them doing a genocide and all these different things, and how they're mad at simple Arabic words, and then people saying like, well, what about how it's like this? And they've also, through the Israel lobby, like replaced a lot of people who run those museums and replaced them with specifically Zionist individuals, who are people who want to create an ethno state in the nation of Israel instead of the nation of Israel being just like every other nation, where it's like just a democracy where people have equal rights, not like there's multiple tiers of citizenship between different races of individuals. So that's the criticism of the Zionist project specifically, because it's like it should just be a place where people can live and people can freely travel and not be not be a lot of things that Israel does. So they were upset with it, so they made them change the word, and they actually changed the word, so now it no longer says intifada. God, I got to learn how to pronounce words better. But anyway, now it's technically the new Arabic word, a word I definitely can't pronounce. And that is an even more extremist version of the word, because it's actually, because Hamas, the resistance group that's used to be a charity, now a resistance group inside of Gaza, is an acronym. And the M in Hamas refers to the same sort of struggle resistance thing. And that's the new word that they replaced it with. And no one seems to be mad about that yet, but I'm sure they'll relearn that and then get even mad and make them change it again or something. But
for a second, it's interesting because, people spoke about Gaza being an open air prison for a long time, or like a massive concentration camp. But really, actually, to be totally honest with you, the Warsaw Ghetto is actually really the model of what Gaza is.
True, fair. I mean, people have compared it to specific concentration camp, but the ghetto being a more of a zone where the individuals kind of mull about on their own, not under individual lock and key, is a closer comparison, right? And then I guess that's what he's getting at.
The difference, of course, the Warsaw Ghetto, the Nazis were coming in and taking people after a couple of months by the trainload. But it's a very similar situation. It was a full section of the city. There was, to the extent that there was power or water or food that got in at any time, it was completely dictated by the Nazis who surrounded the Warsaw Ghetto and walled it in. But there were resistance fighters who snuck out, who, ready for this, dug tunnels to get under the wall. They fought back. Almost all died in that fight.
And not to distract from that specifically, but this is what I was looking at for a little bit. They were talking about the money and like, oh my God, the CARE charity or whatever CARE is. I should look up what CARE is. CARE. Donate to. CARE, it looks like it is about us. CARE has been there every day in time of crisis. CARE is trusted partner, long-term solutions. We focus on women and girls because we know overcoming. It looks like it's just literally a charity of some kind. CARE is a global leader within a worldwide movement dedicated to the ending poverty. We are known everywhere for our unshakable commitment to the dignity of people. Now, obviously, this is their own website, but it seems like it's a charity, whether it be food or, women's rights and et cetera. It's not like it's some kind of like pro-Hamas thing, but they were talking about the money going into places. And when you look at the independent spending of mayoral candidates, the amount of money spent to support Cuomo versus the amount of money that was spent to be negative against Cuomo, and then the amount of money that was spent in support of Mondani, 1 million versus 1 million negative, and then there's 8 point whatever million negative against him. That's crazy. Like, his campaign was like, look how good I am. And then the enemy side only did a little bit of like, he's kind of like a rapist, right? And then Mondani was able to be like, okay, here's how good I am with the amount of money I have. This is as much as I can spend on my own thing. And this is how much the opposition said, you are a fucking Muslim. It's like, holy shit, dude. And he still fucking creamed. I should have like zoomed in, but you get the idea. When I saw this earlier, I was like, egads. Because like for the longest time, money in politics is always seen as like the thing that will fuck us because there's more money and money can buy elections. And it is true still to a degree, but Bloomberg ran for the Democrat thing, spent $1 billion, lost the primary. Elon Musk tried to pay a bunch of money for the Michigan race. Well, I forget exactly where it was, but it was someplace specifically where he dumped insane amounts of money. Literally was like paying people to vote almost, which I know for a fact my dad has said he hates the idea of people saying they will give them benefits if they vote for them, which is like paying them for votes, which is illegal. And then Elon's like, yo, if you specifically donate to us or, you know, campaign for us or whatever it is, you enter into a raffle to win a bunch of money or whatever it is. There were some very specific things that he did that was basically just paying people to support the side. It was much more obvious, but also he's in charge of the government agencies. Well, you technically not in charge, but you get the idea. He's in charge of the government agencies and cutting those government agencies. So whatever oversight there could have been has been ripped apart. Oh, what do you know? Not that the rich ever get impacted for these things anyway, but regardless, there is truth to a good person fighting for good things and also being charismatic and attractive and have a really good team of people to actually help you get there. You do need to you need to work against the fucking system for sure, but you can do it. Even though if you're this insanely outgunned, you can get it to work. So that gives me hope for human life. You know what I mean? Like that's such a good thing to see. I feel like everybody should be happy to see this regardless, right? Because the idea that you can just buy an election is bad. Everyone feels that way, other than the rich, I guess. So, and I can try to look a little bit more into CARE specifically to see if there are criticisms of the money. Because it's like they'll have like UNRWA, which is like a thing just to like feed people, and they go, there's Hamas terrorists in it, and you know, if you just know nothing about it, you go, well, there's claims of this and claims of that. But I'm not in a sprint to believe Glenn Beck on just about anything based off of his history. So
it's fascinating. There was a guy who escaped and went to Britain. And
talking about the Warsaw Uprising.
I think he killed himself as a form of protest to get the British to pay attention to what was going on in the Warsaw Ghetto. And it was either him or another fighter from the Warsaw Ghetto whom they named a kibbutz after that was settled just north of Gaza. And if you look at the history of that kibbutz.
Yeah, the kibbutz, I'm not sure exactly what a kibbutz is, but I know they are somewhat settlements of Jewish people. But I think the kibbutzes specifically are a bit more, I guess, liberal or whatever it is, or they're more like free and peaceful and against the overall technical Zionist project of ethno supremacy. So that's generally how I've seen them. Again, I'm a recovering dumbass, so I'm doing my best to learn these things.
It very briefly talks about displacing the Palestinians that live there. Presumably they were sent to Gaza. That kibbutz was hit on October 7th. I think they largely escaped deaths there.
That's Merrick Edelman you're talking about here, I think.
I think maybe. It's been a while since I read that stuff.
Yeah, it looks like he...
he
was a lifelong anti-Zionist who wrote a letter in 2022. According to the late British writer, activist Paul Foote, he wrote the letter in the spirit of solidarity from a fellow resistance fighter as a former leader of the Jewish uprising, not dissimilar in desperation to the Palestinian uprising in occupied territories.
Well, no, he wasn't the one who, I think, who killed himself. But this is another. Obviously. I mean, it is fascinating. Nevertheless, this is all they have to say on the right. Which is, incidentally, is there a difference between what Glenn Beck did and what Christian Gillibrand did?
these videos are like multiple days apart. I just happened to pick both of them because I thought that'd be a good parallel. And then he's also like, they're a good parallel.
Is there a difference?
A few more percent crude from Glenn Beck.
Really?
A few more, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's generous.
If Kristen Gillibrand was sitting across from Glenn Beck there, would she be like, oh, yeah, well, this is a concern. This is a concern.
All right.
But it's funny because they, New York was hated before 9/11 by the right. They hated us. They hated us. And then 9/11 sort of like, oh, there was like 10 years of that. But let me just remind you, like in 1999, when John Rocker, who I believe at the time was a pitcher for the Braves, was having to play the Mets, this was the perspective of the right prior to 9/11. And then we've gone insane in New York. We're actually electing an immigrant to be mayor. I'm not sure if folks know like the story of guys like LaGuardia. He did not come over on the Mayflower. I should just tell you that right now. But this is, we have returned back. We've come full circle. 25 years. They're so concerned about New York now.
While Rocker's remarks on our show back in November may have outraged Met fans, it was the comments he made to Sports Illustrated writer Jeff Pearlman that caused a...
This must be a thing of Glenn Beck himself doing something, which goes to show he's been a fucking guy doing this bullshit for a long time.
national outcry. Rocker told SI he would never play for a New York team. Here's a recap of his most inflammatory remarks. Quote, imagine having to take the number 7 train to the ballpark, looking like you're riding through Beirut, next to some kid with purple hair, next to some queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who just got out of jail.
Yo, whoa, yo, yo, they print that in Sports Illustrated, yo. Wow. I mean, like, kid with purple hair, you know, that's tame by today's standards, but like some queer with AIDS, what the
jail for the 4th time, right next to some 20-year-old mom with 4 kids. It's depressing.
Oh, gross.
And about New York City itself, Rocker said, the biggest thing I don't like about New York are the foreigners. I'm not a very big fan of...
It's mask off. You know, mask was never on back then.
Foreigners. You can walk an entire block in Times Square and not hear anybody speaking English. Asians and Koreans and Vietnamese and Indians and Russians.
Asians and Koreans. Pejorative. You know, what the fuck? Negative. Yeah.
Spanish people and everything up there. How the hell did they get in this country? Since the article hit the stands, Braves Senior Vice President Henry Aaron has said somebody who feels this way is a very...
Although
that's
it was,
not
Aaron, was actually the guy who had to deal with Rocker.
But it surprised you that John Rocker had a religious education.
What?
That's just what
no.
90s was like, I guess.
Seriously?
Late 90s.
What? He supports Trump? What? Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Cool. Unedited parts of his podcast, whatever it is, can be a little slow, which is why I sped it up. But he's got great perspective. Not just because I ended up accidentally or coincidentally just completely mimicking exactly what he was saying, but yeah. Okay. So the other part of my title was talking about being deported for memes. So I think we've hit the nail on the head a bunch of times about the difference between the Democrats and Republicans. This is just one example of each, but it's a microcosm across. There's loads of CNN interviews and things recently where they're just being like, but you're a Muslim. But you're a Muslim, and anti-Semitism is a problem, and you're a Muslim, and you're a Muslim with anti-Semitism, and it's like, just want buses. I want the fucking, you know, the subways to be good. I want grocery stores to be what the fuck, you know. But another really interesting story is the continued oppression at the borders for just regular people coming and going, whether they be citizens. Like when Hassan was stopped and questioned for hours and grilled, and now other people who are, you know, have the right to visit and whatever it is that enter the country under those circumstances. You can be deported for a meme. Taylor Renz.
Government be allowed to deport someone over a meme? Welcome back to my weekly series, Free Speech Friday, where we discuss issues related to digital censorship.
And she's a former journalist for, I forget which magazine or a newspaper, but she was a really good journalist and then got fired for her views on Palestine, I believe, specifically. And it's great to see her embrace the new wave of personal broadcasting, creating her own, Substack and or YouTube channel, or still working with some other outlets, but embracing the power of her own platform that she can create for herself. Technically, in my journalism school classes, you were taught not to make yourself the part of the story at all. You were always supposed to be a nondescript, clear, magnifying lens on any topic, and never distort and never point it back at yourself. But that also never really actually works. And also, when you are a faceless entity, you can be chewed up and thrown away for your unbiased and truthful reporting. And they can just keep weeding people out until they get the piece of glass that has the distortion that they want to put in place, which is that refers back to the Noam Chomsky critique of the media in America specifically, or just the West. I'm trying to remember the exact specifics of it, but there was some journalist who was like, do you think like I'm paid or like I'm a shill or something? And he's like, no, but the reason you're here with the big media company sitting across from me, being allowed to be on this major platform, is because you naturally have had the views that you've had, and people who did not have the views that you had were never promoted or picked or propped up. So you didn't get here on your own. You were put here by people, and these people only put people who have the specifics that they want. And they all want the same thing, despite even being different outlets and their different purposes. They all, just like we saw before, both sides are like socialist, Muslim. And it's like, but he's got good things that people want, people need. So I hate the mainstream media, or media is all fake news. It can sound ridiculous and wrong, or just like conspiratorial, or whatever it is, but there is a bit more to it that's worth looking into. I always try not to Omega double down on the most, like, I guess, like, technically, I guess, like a knee-jerk reaction to specific types of, like, to say that all media is trash and all the different people, and, even if an outlet has a thing that I don't 100% agree with, it must mean that they're, bought and paid for whatever it is. But there is a lot of trends you can pick up on, especially as you see a wide array of different types of media from different perspectives, different monetary values. Like CNN and Fox News are big money, but then some smaller outlets would still have those same underlying issues threaded throughout. And whenever you would see a gem, like somebody writing things that actually seem to not only match your personal worldview, but cause so much truth that they get kicked out. It's like, oh, like Mehdi Hassan getting kicked off MSNBC, the most liberal of all the outlets, for being too woke because he checks notes, does not like a genocide going on. And it's like, what the fuck? Anyway, let's check this out.
And the importance of protecting free speech and free expression online. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a crazy case that went viral this week and that you might have seen in the news. On June 11th, 21-year-old Norwegian tourist Mads Mikkelsen arrived at Newark Liberty International.
Dude, totally unrelated, but it looks like he has no legs. Not only the color and the pattern matching the striping, or whatever it is, but it's like the lighting, every bit of it looks like he doesn't have legs. it's just a shirt.
June 11th, 21-year-old Norwegian tourist Mads Mikkelsen arrived at Newark Liberty International Airport, excited to explore the United States. His plan was to see some friends in New York City and Austin before meeting up with his mom to tour the national parks. As Mikkelsen waited in line to pass through customs, however, he was pulled aside by Border Patrol. They detained him and subjected him to an extensive interrogation where he was questioned about drug trafficking, terrorist plots, and right-wing extremism.
What an odd thing to do. What an odd thing to pull a person aside for, specifically. And it wasn't like they question him just for a little bit.
He was placed in a holding cell and threatened with a $5,000 fine if he didn't unlock his phone. Mickelson handed over his phone to the agents, and he said they immediately zoomed in on a very specific meme. The image was a version of the J.D. Vance Please meme that went viral in March after Vance's meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Mickelson's version of the meme featured an image of J.D. Vance with a giant, distorted, bald head against a bright blue background. Shortly after Customs reviewed the meme, Mickelson was deported. Border Patrol agents put him on a flight back to Norway, and after arriving back home, he gave an extended interview.
I'm pretty sure they said, because I heard this story from something else, they said that he was detained for at least 5 hours, which is like, I could not imagine being detained for 5 hours. Like, what the fuck? Under no charges? Like, arriving in New York after crossing the Atlantic, it's got to be a grueling flight or whatever it is. And then you're like, all right, what's this? Stress level high, right? You've heard about this happening. They're threatening you with a giant fine or an insane, turnabout deportation where, like, it costs a lot of money to fly across the Atlantic. And then you have all these hotels set up or whatever it is. You've arranged stuff with friends. It's a lot of social capital. It's a big deal to travel internationally like this. Like, it'd be like us going to Europe and them saying, nope, you're going to have to turn around or give us, 10,000 euros. And you're like, oh, no. Right. Insane.
To his hometown newspaper, claiming that immigration officials denied him entry into the United States after discovering the popular meme saved on his phone. Homeland Security was quick to respond online. The official Customs and Border Patrol Twitter account posted, "Fact check, false."
Fact check. Someone called me a liar. Well, I say fact check, false. And they're like, proof? Proof, sir? You say you denied him for his admitted drug use? You mean his legal use of drugs in the jurisdictions that he was in at the time when he said that he did it in Nevada, which is legal, and Germany, where it's legal? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, and also statute of limitations on misdemeanor drug use would never be a reason to deny somebody entry. Yeah, it's like, uh-oh. Bill Clinton didn't inhale, deport him. What the fuck? What do you mean?
Mads Mikkelsen was not denied entry for any memes or political reasons. It was for...
Show the body cam footage. There's fucking cameras all over that shit. Show the fucking CCTV footage. You got it. You say false. Where's the fact in your fact check?
Admitting drug use. Mikkelsen said that he was questioned over drug use, and border control officials seemed to take issue of a photo that he had of himself with a homemade wooden pipe, but he said that is not why he was deported.
A wooden pipe. Literally, some of our most famous individuals were smoking pipes. Like, some of them... And also, a wooden pipe doesn't mean it's drug use.
Deported. Department of Homeland Security Deputy Secretary Tricia McLaughlin also posted about the incident. She posted an image of a Daily Mail article and said, claims that Mads Mikkelsen was denied entry because of a J.D. Vance meme are false. Political satire, which includes memes mocking public officials, falls under the heart of protected speech in the United States. And the idea that a meme about a U.S. politician could be used as pretense for denying someone entry into the U.S. is deeply troubling.
I've never liked political cartoon art. It's always a little weird. It's always just a little... The caricatures are always off-putting in a lot of ways. Ugh.
It's still also completely unclear why Mikkelsen was actually targeted for advanced screening to begin with. And even though the government is claiming that this wasn't political, Mikkelsen's deportation also occurred amid a wave of seemingly ideologically driven detainments and deportations. Trump has effectively transformed the entire federal government into an immigration enforcement agency and given DHS wide flexibility to treat every foreign-born person visiting the United States like a probable criminal threat. This is a significant departure to how Customs and Border Patrol was previously run, and it's led to many U.S.-born American activists to raise concern over speech implications implications and the chilling effect that this is going to have on activists, journalists, and other political dissidents. In April, DHS announced that its agents would begin screening immigrants' social media accounts for alleged anti-Semitic activity. Trump and the government has used the pretense of cracking down on anti-Semitism to silence lawful speech and attack journalists and activists. What the government now considers anti-Semitic includes any criticism of Israel's assault on Gaza or any advocacy for Palestinian rights. Even supporting and endorsing Palestinian aid organizations or UN-affiliated groups is now being treated as terror activity under these more restrictive laws. All student visa applications entering the U.S. must also now change the privacy settings on their social media profiles to public. A State Department cable recently told diplomats to thoroughly review any and all social media profiles belonging to students for, quote, any indication of hostility towards the citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles of the United States. And again, like most things with the government, they don't actually mean what they say. Hostility towards the US government or hostility towards founding principles of the United States could literally be something as benign as a joke about our legal system or seemingly a JD Vance meme. Reports of increased denials, detentions, and heightened security of visitors by DHS agents have skyrocketed in recent months. In March, a French researcher was denied entry into the U.S. after Border Patrol agents found a personal opinion on the Trump administration's research policy on his phone. After this, a French minister publicly criticized the U.S. for their crackdowns on free speech and expression. Just last month, Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, who by the way is a completely U.S. citizen, was detained at the border for over an hour and questioned relentlessly about his political beliefs. He was asked about protected journalistic activities like who he's interviewed and his political opinions. He was questioned over whether or not he'd interviewed Hamas, Houthis, or Hezbollah members. He was also asked about his opinions on Trump and Israel and asked about his history of getting banned on Twitch. Piker said, quote, they straight up tried to get something out of me that they could use to basically detain me permanently. The agent kept saying stuff like, do you like Hamas? Do you support Hamas? Do you think Hamas is a terror group?
You also would you believe that they, yes, little girl, would you also believe that they said, this is a lie, he's lying for clout? And it's like, okay, show the footage. Okay, if you say that for sure, where's the footage? Show us the footage. Where's your footage?
Group or a resistance group. I kept repeating the same statement over and over again, Piker said. I kept saying, I'm on the side of the civilians. I want the endless bloodshed to end.
Also, there was a long, not so much of a debate, but there was a lot of people saying like, oh my God, Hassan, what have you done? Why would you speak to them? You know your rights. You know that you should, specifically ask if you're being detained. You should, still provide the, identifying information and certain things. But when they ask for personal things or, I'm not discussing my day or there's certain things that you're supposed to do. And then like, I need a lawyer. I mean, even saying simple things they can use to try to incriminate you, all kinds of stuff. But Hassan took that risk and he said that he was really interested in sort of like seeing how far it would go and testing the waters. And also like, he's just like, he's a guy, he can make a mistake. He's in the moment, these things are happening to him live. It's kind of scary and spooky. And he's thinking that like, maybe this can all just be over so soon because like when you lawyer up, you can imagine it's going to like extend out this whole process and turn into a whole pile of bullshit. So I totally can understand where he's coming from, both on a curiosity angle and also like a, this can't be serious kind of angle, but it's important for people to think about.
I'm a pacifist. I want all wars to end, which is insane because up until this moment, if you were to say that as an American citizen, you stand 10 toes down with Hamas or you stand 10 toes down with the Houthis, they can't deny you entry to the country because of that. And just last week, an Australian writer was sent back to Melbourne after DHS agents in Los Angeles questioned him about his views on the Israeli treatment of Palestinians. It's gotten to the point now where major U.S. media outlets are advising even U.S. citizens to travel with burner phones or be careful about what they say online and in public.
Yeah, I've heard this before where it's like, back up your entire phone to the iCloud. And then when you get there, wipe your phone so that way they can't see anything. And then when you get back to your place, unwipe it. Which is like, that sucks. That sucks ass. Who the fuck wants to deal with that?
This type of targeting at the border creates an undeniable chilling effect. Already, activists who are critical of our government are nervous to leave the country given the crackdowns happening on speech. Detaining U.S. citizens over speech, especially a political commentator, journalist, a scientist, or even students, allows border control to become a tool of political intimidation. As Piker said on stream following his detention, the reason they're doing this is to try to create an environment of fear, to try to get people like myself or others who would be in my shoes that don't have the same level of security to shut the F up. In a functioning democracy, public figures and journalists are supposed to be able to criticize the government without fear of retaliation. That criticism is vital in holding power to account. When authorities start treating political beliefs like security threats, it sends a loud and chilling message to anyone expressing themselves online, especially those with a platform, that they also might be targeted. The crackdowns over...
It's been a little while since I've been home. I do have a trip I need to take, and I have a lot of time on my hands now. But I do need to, go hang out with my parents again for a couple of other reasons. And it's like, my dad, he used to really have a lot of opinions on free speech and all these different things. I wonder what his opinions are on this. Like, wow, I'm real curious. I mean, maybe he'll put me wrong. Maybe he'll see the light or see the darkness that is in front of us. Yes, little girl. Oh, little sweetie.
Over speech at the border have already led to a slew of countries, including China, Denmark, and Finland, to issue travel warnings advising their citizens to reconsider traveling to the United States and warning them that if they do, and if they said the wrong thing online, they may risk harassment or violence from our authorities. I think this is all deeply concerning because, yes, foreign visitors to the United States do not enjoy the same level of First Amendment protections as U.S. citizens, especially when they're at the airport trying to enter the country. Authorities do have sweeping powers at the border, and non-citizens can...
That's another aspect of this. It's like, oh, American citizens have these rights. Oh, but not at a customs agent, technically. And, oh, non-citizens don't technically have these rights under these circumstances, but they definitely still have these these constitutional rights are still constitutional no matter who you are. That's the whole point of them, is that they're for people, not for individual citizens or whatever it is. But there are still technical protections and what they're allowed to detain or not detain under these different things. And they use that weaponized complexity to tell you, I've heard that, they told him that the guy with the bald meme that, oh, you need to let us have it or we'll fine you. They don't have the power to do that specifically, is what has been said. I don't know, because it's all confusing. I don't fucking know. So he doesn't know, and he's like, I guess I don't want the fine, so here, and then they go, now we have the, now we have, a picture. And, doesn't that ring a bell when people were, decrying that China was a authoritarian death state because he didn't like, the Xi Jinping didn't like the Winnie the Pooh memes, right? But it's like, who's actually doing that? I've always even believed that. And then there's people who've come out and say, actually, that's not even as serious as people were making it. I was like, oh my God. But it makes sense that we would report on it so negatively. Okay,
can legally be detained entry based solely on content on their phones, but the U.S. has historically not rejected average citizens at the border or detained U.S. citizens over what I'd call relatively benign speech challenging the government and foreign policy. Today's border enforcement also wields unprecedented powers of surveillance. As I've talked about in other videos, law enforcement and the government are working with companies like Palantir to create these vast digital surveillance systems.
That Palantir stuff sounds insane. Every time I hear about it, it's like, oh no. And it's that, I'm pretty sure that's the same stuff that has been used in Gaza, specifically in Israel. And then the fucking CEO had that one speech where he's like, we can kill people to get our company support or whatever it is. And it's like, what?
To track and capture problematic speech online. U.S. law does allow for deeper searches at the border without a warrant or probable cause under what's known as the border search exception. This means agents can basically inspect luggage or digital devices of people at the border without suspicion. But the courts have begun to challenge how far that scope stretches when phones are involved. In one recent case, for example, the Fourth Circuit ruled that forensic searches of a digital device like a cell phone does require reasonable suspicion, even at the border. Although I will say, given CPB's track record, I feel like they could just make up any kind of like reasonable suspicion and search someone's device. Also, when I was looking into this, I found that other courts have upheld the suspicionless scanning of digital devices. So until the Supreme Court clarifies things, the rules remain pretty inconsistent and murky. And if you're wondering, like, how and why was this random Norwegian 21-year-old being asked about his opinions on politics or being forced to show government agents his like political memes, Customs and Border Patrol policies do allow officers to question travelers about religion or political ideology without restraint. And a foreign-born person who declines to answer these types of questions could just be denied entry to the U.S. because of it. The American Civil Liberties Union issued a warning to non-citizen visitors, letting them know that they can refuse certain questions, but doing so could ultimately get them delayed entry or provoke further scrutiny. U.S. citizens or permanent residents cannot
Oops. Palantir earnings call. They're killing it.
Alex, as always, we have a lot of individual investors on the line. Is there anything you'd like to say before we
And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right.
Hold on. I can do this. And then I can do this. Yeah.
Our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is.
You know, a bunch of CEO jumble garbage, not really saying anything. I have messy hair because I'm such a genius.
Or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, you know, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places.
Sick. It's all over the place. You can't escape it. Nice.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
What?
And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I just love the way this looks with like a guy wearing a fucking, what is it called? Like that one tech vest that they all fucking wear. Not the North Face, but it's one of those fucking stupid ass CEO outfits. Totally very like fucking stock photo level thing. And then you got the one freak with a really tight fucking plain t-shirt, and then his fucking Giants logo as he's sitting at the head of the table, and he just goes off on just pure deranged insanity. First off, word salad says nothing, and then says that we're killing people who are dissenting against us, and I hope you're in favor of that. We're doing numbers, baby.
That concludes Q&A for today's call.
Drop the mic. He's so, what fucking uppers? How many Adderalls did he take before? What the fuck? He's like tweaking. And that's Palantir, which is like a super omega data collection company. Which does. And also, just to be unnecessarily evil. Of course, I misspell everything as always. I also am I'm a bad typist, but Palantir is the one of several indestructible crystal balls that the Lord Zohran, it's the white mage dude who looks through it to see people and spy on them. And that's what they decided to name their, fucking CCTV info mass surveillance system after, which is like, oh, the bad guys tool of evil. You named your company this, and then in earnings call, you're like, we're murdering people only if we have to. And I hope you're on board with that. Let's go crazy. I got to rewind just a little bit because I was too busy Googling to.
The Fourth Circuit ruled that forensic searches of a digital device like a cell phone does require reasonable suspicion, even at the border. Although I will say, given CPB's track record, I feel like they could just make up any kind of like reasonable suspicion and search someone's device.
Yeah, those guardrails with that are vague are just there to support them. And when you don't have the power to push back because you say you did not have a reasonable reason, they go, no, we did. You smelled like weed. You looked weird at me and you had intention in your walk or whatever it is, right? You don't have the ability to push back and fight because who are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got nothing. And also the judges could even have been appointed by similarly minded individuals. And then what are you going to do? The laws of the land are all just an agreement upon the general society to uphold them. So when they go, it was reasonable enough, and you go, well, fuck me then. What are you going to do? It's sort of like an incredibly terrifying horror story where like you are reasonable and every person around you is being unreasonable and they hold you down and like you can't stop them. There's too many. Even if you're, The Rock or whatever, you just can't resist when the society just mindlessly agrees to chain you to the floor. It's just its own nightmare.
Also, when I was looking into this, I found that other courts have upheld the suspicionless scanning of digital devices. So until the Supreme Court clarifies things, the rules remain pretty inconsistent and murky. And if you're wondering, like, how and why was this random Norwegian 21-year-old being asked about his opinions on politics or being forced to show government agents his, like, political memes, Customs and Border Patrol policies do allow officers to question travelers about religion or political ideology without restraint. And a foreign-born person who declines to answer these types of questions could just be denied entry to the U.S. because of it. The American Civil Liberties Union issued a warning to non-citizen visitors, letting them know that they can refuse certain questions, but doing so could ultimately get them delayed entry or provoke further scrutiny. U.S. citizens or permanent residents cannot technically be denied entry for refusing to answer questions about their politics, but this kind of broad political and ideologically driven probing that's now becoming routine immigration questioning can easily force political views into the equation. Basically, it's just going to become easier and easier for Border Patrol agents to force people to answer questions about their political beliefs when they're trying to get into the U.S., whether you're a citizen or not. I think Mickelson's account and others like it show how border officials are effectively hollowing out the free speech protections of everyone who now passes through our borders. I'm really worried that, first a meme mocking a public figure like J.D. Vance will be treated as a threat at the border. And next, they'll try to make similar arguments outside the confines of U.S. airports. The fact that travelers are now having to sanitize their devices before entering the United States or are thinking twice about what they're saying online is undeniably leading.
Again, imagine if Obama started like allowing cops to pull you over for your bumper stickers that seemed a little anti-Obama. Uh-oh, is that Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes peeing on the O logo? Hold on, sir. We're going to have to detain your truck. Otherwise, you're going to pay a $5,000 fine. Hold on, we're going to keep you on the roadside for 5 hours. Like, people would lose their minds. Glenn Beck and Republicans would have exploded. They would have done a fucking storming of the Bastille. They would have made January 6th look like it's a fucking, a walk in the park. What the fuck? And they're supposed to be so nonpartisan. They're supposed to be so truth-seeking and fair. And they're so obviously not.
to more self-censorship of ideas and expression. And just ordinary travelers entering into the US, by the way, that get detained, have no standard appeal process for detained entry, and explanations that they're giving, case in point with this Norwegian guy, are incredibly vague. If you get an explanation at all, by the way, you kind of have to just read the tea leaves. Agents aren't required to document why someone was refused entry to the US, and so most travelers will...
Interesting that they're not required to do it. It's almost like they don't want it to be done. They specifically don't want them to have to do that because they don't want them to do that. Oh, interesting.
Never know for sure exactly why they were detained, harassed, or deported. And this, again, chills speech. It makes it so that people second guess everything that they say and post online. And despite these growing concerns and seemingly escalating incidents, border control remains a heavily guarded government function. Policies authorized under executive orders give the president sweeping power to bar entry to pretty much anyone deemed a security threat. This includes people targeted for their political views. Overall, I think the U.S. is leaning further into censorship of political speech, and the borders are just the beginning. Free speech thrives on the free and open exchange of ideas, especially online. And this includes potentially offensive speech, speech that's critical of power, and humor. And again, we'll likely never know exactly 100% why Mickelson was deported, but I think the fact that these incidents keep piling up and all have similar through lines should be a major cause for concern. I think that without clear legal protections for speech at our border and elsewhere, we risk chipping away even further at self-expression. We'll also unintentionally be preventing more people who value free speech and free expression from coming to America. That's it for this week's show. Don't forget to subscribe to my tech and online culture newsletter.
She's got a great... Oh, I can't believe I haven't subscribed. I guess I just individually found her videos entirely. Let's see what... I mean, obviously Taylor's... This one. I didn't get to it. Huh. He hates that picture, so he shall be seen. Also, that's another thing. Obviously, the whatever you call it, the Streisand effect, the running out there to say, do not look at this. And everyone's like, all right, well, now that you told I can't, I'm going to do nothing but look at that. I got to do this. Good video. What's my next one on the docket here? Oh, that was my last video I had. Damn, I got so much. I guess when I take my medicine properly, I'm rolling pretty strong. Want to stream Pride Parade. IRL stream. Excited to see how that goes. It might just totally just die. But I do want to get some reps in trying out mobile streaming. And this is a great excuse, I guess. I mean, I can just run in my backyard or whatever it is, but I wouldn't want to accidentally dox myself by showing too much stuff. And also, it's fun. It's a thing. And I guess I'll be there live streaming if weird shit goes down. But probably there won't be because it's pretty tame. It's not like it's a wild and rowdy crowd out there. And the downtown St. Pete area, I believe it's held in, is very calm. But who knows? Counter protesters or something. I don't know. Whatever. Not that it's a protest or anything, but let's see. Do I have anything else that I want to do? Chat was a lot quieter today, as you can see by the same messages being up since 1:43, and now it's 3:16. It is a Sunday night, Saturday night. I guess that would imply that people would be awake to do stuff, but maybe they're busy. It's fine. I gotta work on my volume. Sometimes I feel like it's too quiet for me, and I look over and it's still kind of loud for everybody else. And I guess I do have the ability to control individual volume. I feel like I'm doing a better job of monitoring the different streams I have open, which feels good. It's good to have that. Yeah. Although I should probably have a thing to also watch my Twitch numbers, but stuff for another time. Was able to make the TikTok for the day, and I also kept it on theme with the stream because it was another Zohran meme. Because I'm a one-trick pony, I guess. What can I say? Although my best TikTok so far was a very short one, me saying, I got laid off. Gulp. And that's it. Basically. I was happy to do one that wasn't my face, just because I just kind of wanted to put out a meme or whatever it was, just to make something. Because I guess technically a TikTok should probably, at least a personal TikTok, should be kind of you doing stuff. But it's nice to mix it up. And to have flexibility, whatever it is. There is a slight bit of dread when it comes to like, oh man, I got this thing I gotta do, right? But then I like my creative juices cranking and trying to think of things, remembering an idea I had, and then trying my best to actually execute. I always see my hair a little tousled, and I go to do it, and I'm doing the backward in the mirror thing. I'm like, oh shit. But I don't mirror my outputs, so they look appropriate, so I can read the text on my shirt. But then I should just close my eyes and go, oh, I know how to touch my own head. I know how to do that. Sometimes I have this one long strand that belongs on this side. There's always one that just wants to come off of it. Another good reason to have the glasses, not only to produce eye strain. Those eyeballs are pearly white. Well, maybe a little bit red. Also, these are really nice. These are Warby Parker because I'm millennial cringe lord or whatever it is. But they, a lot of other blue tinted glasses I have, or blue filtering glasses, they would have a slight yellow to them. Where you put them on and everything looks a little warmer than it did before. And you go, oh, well, I guess that's the cost of doing business. But those are the cheaper ones. These are, traditional lens prices, whatever it is. But yeah, they're crystal clear. Awesome. It did suck because you couldn't. I can zoom out. You couldn't test the exact ones because they have like the frames, but none of them have official coatings, and they're polycarbonate. They're not like true glass or whatever it is. So you go, oh, it's a little fuzzier than it should be because it's just a piece of plastic I'm looking through, which is what most of the cheap glasses also had a problem with, where you go like, I'm looking at this to produce my eye strain, but then I'm like trying to like look through the fuzz of a slight negative layer that I'm having to peer through. But these are super clear and they don't have a tint to them. Although I guess like you can see like in certain angles, my video light or my monitor that's really bright, maybe that's back and forth. But either way, you can see the little bit of blue light casting back towards you. So that could be a little bit of an annoyance for eye glare coming out. But at least my angle generally, well, maybe this angle exactly. But if I don't have a super bright white thing over here, still a little bad, but you get the idea. Whatever. I'm just stalling now. Okay. I also have a thing where I'm helping a friend move because some people who got laid off didn't get laid off. They just move on up. And they follow the company up to the Pennsylvania area, which is kind of cool because that's a whole new section of the United States to live in. It's close to New York. It's close to just a whole new area overall. It's exciting for them. I'm excited for them. And hey, we're on the internet. We can still collaborate and do stuff. We barely ever went and saw each other in person anyway. So that'll be Monday morning doing that. So probably don't want to stream late on Sunday either. A, because I'll do stuff in the morning, afternoon, and then B, because I have that thing to do in the morning. So I don't want to like oversleep or whatever. So keeping active, keeping stuff going, but I'll still be posting TikToks and I'll still be doing a stream of some kind, one way or the other, whether it's the live stream, a short stream, or my full long stream. Also, playing around with the idea of doing different hours. Just because maybe it's too early to say because we're on stream number 2, but it's dead today, that's for sure. And Kara can't really join in on most work days because she's got to sleep for work. She has to wake up in 8 hours from when I start the stream, and I could stream for 10 hours. So she's like, what the hell? Or even just like 6 hours, and she can't get any sleep. Makes no sense. And I would love for her to be a part of things. But also, I wouldn't want to force her to be a part of every stream all hours of the day. But also, Twitch is a second monitor thing. I can butt also this all day long. I've got my yapping skills back. That's good. Where I can just go on and on and on. I guess that's a good segue into how I don't mind mixing in other hobbies into the stream. So my brother was over. He's always going to ask me about 40K and try to get me back into doing more 40K things. I'm unemployed, so it's easier to do fun or hobby things, but I have to make sure this pays the bills. Otherwise, it's just a long vacation instead of it being, a new life. So I do want to focus on making sure this works. So probably a big thing I should be doing with the downtime is not only improving my life in other areas and making things flow smoothly, and but also work on that long form YouTube content or longer form YouTube content, similar to the Taylor Lorenz video you would watch, where it's a thing that you can make on a somewhat reasonable schedule, whether it's a weekly thing or bi-weekly thing. I also have a daily requirement, so I might do a little bit less, and I want to be involved in the DSA and stuff, but I've been kind of slacking on that a little bit. But I also want to video edit and do things for other creators to be a better resource overall, because maybe my individual career, being a face and a personality, won't go. It's a luck based thing, and maybe my personality, whatever it is, doesn't gel with the audience. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. I would like to be an asset to the same community, just in different ways, whether it be just being a specific technical videographer. Not that there's a lot of people in the Florida area, but maybe that's just waiting for the time. And then also video editing is obviously a thing. I've done a little bit of freelance video editing for some people in the circle already, and love to do more. I know that Carter, just literally Carter on Twitch, he has a little green screen thing that he's going to do eventually. I'm holding him to it. How are we? We're doing well. And also, yesterday after you left, about like 3 or 4 minutes after you left, I was like, the word is boomerang. Why did I not know the word was boomerang? I read it as like boomer reg bud. What the? And I'm just like, oh, it's just the word boomerang. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't see it, so I felt really dumb. But that's me. I'm a bad reader, especially when I'm like, I feel like I'm on the spot, and I'm like, oh no. So I'm glad that I got it right, and I'm glad you came back so I can tell you that I know what your name is. Because it's nice when the streamer says your name. Hey, you even got the little boomerang emote. Is that just a straight up, yeah. I forget what they call those, Unicode, whatever. It's one of those things that's just kind of built into stuff, yeah. We were having a shorter one tonight just because I was hoping to live stream in about, well, man, it's like 3:30, and if the event starts at 11, I could potentially even stream before. So that would be like at 10 a.m.-ish, starting a stream and then popping over to my IRL in real life. I don't have a full backpack. So if you're unfamiliar with how streaming works, because I'm really interested in stream gear and stream stuff. So IRL backpack. There's stuff out there. Companies like Unlimited IRL, they've been well known to have a backpack. The backpack would have a selfie stick, a classic Sony action cam specifically because they like that it's cheap, durable, simple focus mechanisms, whatever it is, clean HDMI out, powerable over whatever. And then they have a live view encoder, which they have, and they also have different, it looks like power supply battery things in there. So this is, the backpack itself is just a backpack, right? But there's an encoder, which needs to connect to the internet via modems. That's usually some data modems. So we would have a few different SIM cards from perhaps even different providers, so that way you can get off different towers, and it would bond the signal. So that would only add a, depending upon how good of a whatever you've got, it may only add a little bit of delay, but it just creates this. It creates a bucket, and then it asks for packets from all the different forms of internet, and then it numbers them, and it's like, okay, I'm looking for number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 before we can ship this bucket out to be streamed so people can watch it. And then they go, okay, the first line of internet is giving me 1, 2, 4, and 5. Oh, but I got a 3 from the other form of internet. Let's just put that in there and then ship it off where it belongs before we hit our deadline and miss it. And then all of a sudden the stream bitrate goes too low and it goes down, right? So the longer of a delay and the more paths of internet you have, the more you can collect buckets, and the stabler and higher quality your stream can be. But that's cell bonding. Hidden costs, yes. So, I mean, like, you would... so delay is worse to have that. You might have to decrease quality to create a lower total bit rate. So that way, instead of having to collect such a large quantity consistently to get it to be non-breaking up, it would require too much delay. So you might reduce the quality so the buckets are smaller and easier to fill or whatever it is. So that way you can have a reasonable balance. But also, like, you got to pay for multiple cell services basically, and these companies that have the modems that they these mobile encoders that have the modems built into them, or they sell you the side modems to plug in, they might also have their own agreement with these services to sell you a package of X number of gigabytes per month, per year, based off the total data you use, or an unlimited that's super expensive. And then, if you're like me, I might do like 1 stream a month at most. You go, well, I don't need to ever pay for this crazy yearly monthly fee, and it makes it difficult. But you get increased stability and increased quality, because instead of having a computer or a laptop or something running the OBS and then trying to then create software to then create the encoding, it all runs from inside of this little pouch. This is the computer. Instead of OBS, it's encoding and muxing the video all in its own little thing. So there's a little processor and RAM and fans and shit. It is itself a computer. Obviously, it's not as powerful as like a 4090 or something, but it is designed specifically to do this one task, which is taking the video feed of a certain type of bit rate and then compile it into a whatever it is and then shoot it back out. It's interesting because this is what like news companies will use to some degree, and there's different qualities and grades. When I was working at HSN, we use an Avi West, and those are like insanely expensive. Let's see. This is not what I was thinking. Avi West, the streaming store. This is, I guess, like this is the one that we would. This one kind of looks like one of the ones that we would use. I don't see a price. A lot of these places are like, call us. That's how expensive they are, because they're tens of thousands of dollars, which is like, oh, let's see, what do we got here? No price, huh? And then you also have like rack mounted gear, because sometimes you have to have like, you'll have encoding units that you can then slot into a thing. It's a super expensive, a high barrier to entry, whatever it is. But instead, let's see. IRL Pro app. So this is the app that I use, which is the Android version. And it gives you, a little overlay. You connect whatever your streaming service is, which for me is an SRT feed, which is a different type of like RTMP. Because like when we stream to Twitch, it's a remote something protocol, which is what all the RTMP stuff is. I definitely have not enough knowledge, but I have enough knowledge to be dangerous when it comes to these things. So there's like a feed of data that you feed Twitch. Twitch then takes it and then spits it back out into everyone else's computer monitors at home. But this thing can send that same style of feed to your own thing. And I have a setup on my OBS, which is on my home computer, to receive a feed like that. So it is awaiting any feeds from a remote device. So I can have my phone using just regular internet that I already own on my phone to send up the data from its feed to my computer at home, and then that then compiles it and sends it off to Twitch the same way it's happening right now. So instead of having a backpack with an encoder, I have a phone that sends the information to my encoder at home. That's here. And the full loop around delay is somewhere between 5 seconds or less, which is not bad. And I'm happy to give it a shot. So I kind of rigged up this little thing over here. Let's see. Let's go standing mode. This is the cheap little gimbal for a smartphone. There are much nicer gimbals made by DJI that make a lot of the more traditional fancy stuff. But this happened to be really cheap on a B&H sale a while back. And I was like, it's so cheap, I'd be stupid not to get it. It was like $20 or something. So you can see the hair light and the 360 cam that's suspended over my sofa or whatever. So I rigged it up so that way it would have a little holder for my audio. So that way I can have my official DJI nice audio. I have these little like wireless receiver transmitter things. This way I can, taking the USB backplate off. Have it loaded up in the front. That way when I'm holding it, I can see the readout of my little display. When it's plugged in via the USB cable here, it gets a power charge. This USB cable goes into one of these crazy splitter things. So there's a connection that goes to the phone, which will feed my phone the data from the audio device. But also, inside of this splitter is a power supply that you can feed into that'll keep giving the phone power as well, because that's one of my negative, one of my fears is running the phone screen on. It's transmitting this signal and receiving data from like the chat and stuff. So it's your phone's running as much as it can, basically. You might run out of battery. And also maybe you use your phone to like navigate to the place and you want to use the phone to navigate back to the place. So it's a really cheap way. Now you don't even need an audio device as well. You can just use the built-in mic on the camera or on the phone, which is always surprisingly good. As a person who's cared about tech gear and all this bullshit, the fact that a phone can just kind of sound pretty good. But when you go into a room full of, or an event, a parade, or a different venue, whatever it is, it's nice to have a bit more control. So these are microphones that you can change the gain on and keep it close to your source, so that way it'll mostly pick up you. And even these things have built in some slight noise canceling stuff you can do. And you can also do stuff inside of OBS, instead of filters, inside of OBS to then do things. An endless amount of stuff. But I also wanted it to look as non-insane as possible, because sometimes, like if I go there with like a full out like DSLR into an HDMI out into a thing that then tries to send into an actual backpack where I have a laptop running, with a fan or whatever, that can just look like I have a lot of stuff, and everyone's like, that's a little, like, I don't want to talk to you. You seem like you're doing something that's too much. But at least like a smartphone on a thing just kind of looks touristy, kind of looks normal, and hopefully is not too. I don't want to make people freaked out, because like I'm nervous as hell. I've never been the like, everyone look at me, I'm the most important guy in the area kind of thing. But I got to get over that to some degree, and also it'd be fun to try it out. And if there are other people in the sphere of streamers that I want to like work with and help, if I actually have a live stream I've been able to do successfully using more affordable technology, that would be great, because that would be a help for people. But like setting up the SRT feed into your thing, and then I had to set up like a domain name because it needs to send information to like a specific IP address, but your home router changes IP addresses, but you can get a DCHP, whatever. That's like some networking thing about like setting up so there's a website where you can buy your own reroutable IP address, and like as long as every month you get an email saying like, hey, do you still want to use this address? So I have like some like http.sniffingme.22222 or some weird thing that's very specific. So that way my OBS can have that set forever, my phone can have it set forever, and then I never have to worry about like the URL changing or some shit, which is handy. You know, and then I mean, ultimately I learned this shit from a YouTube video and some like Discords where you ask people questions and do stuff. But I also know that maybe is a barrier that other people aren't willing to do or don't have maybe the starting point to begin to do. But if they have somebody who's willing to walk them through stuff, because I got all the time in the world and I would love helping people who want to do similar stuff. So and it's neat. Yeah, so a big part of my stream and all the hobbies I have, one of those hobbies is doing some physical data stuff like that, but also like I'm a big otherwise I'm a big TV production camera nerd guy. I've got the camera I have there is incredibly nice for a webcam. And it feeds into my computer via a PCIe. Like it's the Elgato Stream 4K, but they all have the same name. They all sound like the Elgato Camlink 4K because they all have the same name, but it's the model that has like 4 HDMI ports that plugs into a PCIe card. Because at one point I thought I would have multiple HDMI cameras plugged in, but now I just have these stupid 360 webcams and other stuff. So I don't really even use multiple HDMI ports, but it is more stable than having all your data go over a USB port, because you might be like me and have way too many toys and way too many things, and then your USB drivers on your motherboard just get overloaded because you just have too much data flooding into it, so you have glitches and problems and stuff. So it's nice to have one that's hardboarded, whatever. But yeah, so that's why I also want to make my videos, because I want them to actually look good. I have a whole shed as a studio. It's all like nice, mildly noise canceled, and has big professional lights and shit in it. Ready for a podcast, just nobody who wants to do a podcast with me. I guess you could technically do a podcast alone. Bill Burr does one, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that gives me joy and makes me happy. And I would like to find a way to make it the thing I can do every day. Because if I wake up and like, oh boy, I get to do more of these things like every other day, then I wouldn't be like a, God damn it, I gotta do this shit, right? And I wouldn't feel bad about it. But in these 6 months, I gotta like, I gotta get the momentum going to see if it can actually work. Because I mean, maybe I can just convince my wife to be the breadwinner and I just am a lazy mooch forever. That'd be sick. I just become the in-house maid, right? I have to learn how to cook probably. I mean, I used to cook, but I would cook like very efficient meals for myself. Pressure cooker, chicken, tomato mix, boom, done, right? But also she likes to cook too, so she'd probably want to still do it. I don't know. Other things I do is like 3D printing bullshit, both FDM and resin, because I'm addicted to hobbies. We got a laser cutter that can cut like acrylic and wood or other building materials that you would want to laser cut. It doesn't cut like super thick stuff. Like you're not gonna be able to like cut a 2x4 or something, but also handy for crafts and projects and shit. So the idea of potentially opening up an Etsy store where I sell, it does laser engraving too. Yep. There's a little attachment, because if you have round things you want to laser engrave, like your name on a cup or something, it needs to be able to spin it while it lasers it. So there's a little attachment for that. But we have not set that up yet, and that'll be its own trial and error process. But I tinker. I do stuff. The resin 3D printer, I had to do all kinds of tinkering and learning how it works and stuff. The resin 3D or the FDM 3D printer that does like the plastic spools, that one was a bunch of learning process and how it works, and then using the software how it works. So if anybody ever wanted information on how that stuff works, hopefully that would be another asset that I can bring to the table of the streaming community of these leftist individuals who are all stealing Hassan Piker's flow. We're all hoping to suckle on that teat of leftism. They keep saying, grifting to the left is so easy, but like, damn. Even when you do it genuinely, it's just so damn hard. Just so damn hard. Also, I'm doing it at 3:45 a.m. As a zero momentum channel, so it also makes sense too. Which is why I'm gonna keep working at it. I guess I'm just stalling for time because I'm just happy to talk about all the different hobbies I have. There's probably even more hobbies. Oh yeah, Warhammer 40K is a hobby. I think I mentioned my brother comes over and wants me to do stuff, so I should be painting minis on stream, or building terrain, or 3D printing terrain, or I did cosplay stuff. Last year I went to the Grand Narrative. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Warhammer 40K, but this is the Power Fist for my Chaos Lord outfit. I just thought it was a cool thing, so I kind of just put it down there, but it doesn't really show off very well. But I saw some 3D printed guides online for how to create articulating fingers. So there's little strings that I pull on a little mitten that then, you know, make the fist work and stuff, which is fun and cool. So I know some people do cosplay stuff, like Gremlo. He's a person who streams around 8 or 9 a.m. Would love to work with him. And he's, I think, in like Louisiana. That's almost close. Wowee. To Tampa Bay area. Not really, but who knows? So I got lots to offer. Is it good stream content? I don't know. There's also the local DSA, like our city councilor, Richie Floyd. He's told me that he would come on the stream and talk and hang out and shit. So like today when I was going over all the Zohran videos and shit, it'd be great to be able to invite him over. But if I do that, I can't do it at 1 a.m. because he's a real adult. Even though he's younger than me, he's a real ass adult who like is rebuilding his house after hurricane damage and is like fighting Republicans and Democrats equally in local government. And it's like, damn, I'm dumb as shit. I just kind of like play video games and watch streamers. So there's a lot of potential and a lot of possibilities, and it's all up to me to facilitate them, try them, see what works, give them an honest try, maybe give them an honest retry at different times or different eras. Do my best to network with individuals, work my ass off. With Chad, yeah. If I get it to work, I'm a Chad. If I wake up and go, I'm lazy, and then just like play another round of Night Range for the 100th time, then I'm less of a Chad. Not that it's wrong to want to do those things, but I would like to put in that little extra bit of work to perhaps give me greater happiness in the future. Yeah. Okay, I keep saying that I need to make sure I sleep so that way I'm ready for the morning stream. But I will be live again in about let's say between 4 and 5 hours from now. If you happen to notice the go live notification, you do, and if you don't, there's VODs. If you even were interested in what a Pride Parade looks like, the whole thing might end up being a stream that says low bit rate. We're trying to recover. I guess that's a quick fun thing. Is I have a scene and a software that will notice if my stream is getting a bad bit rate into the incoming source, and if it's too low, it would cut over to my BRB scene. So if like for some reason the phone was getting bad quality, it would cut over to and then when it gets enough beta, it comes back to this, right? It comes back to whatever the stream would be naturally on its own, which is kind of a cool piece of software that I just found on a YouTube video and learned how to install. So now like I'm a fucking genius. I'm just like a guy who's willing to commit time to things. So the stream might just be that scene for like hours on end straight. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it's not. And that's why people buy the big expensive backpacks and pay for the data plans and stuff, because they don't want it to happen in their stream on a consistent basis. So it'll be fun to test it out and do that. I was going over to my other monitor so I can see a person to raid, but I didn't have a Twitch page open, which is why I kind of just ran out of memory in my mind and just sort of like fumbled the bag there. It's important to engage creative work, wherever it may be.
Damn, bro.
Because you have ownership over it. Yeah, I mean that's a huge part of the interest in doing something like this, because working for somebody, it's fine. I did it for 15 years, but if you disagree with anything, and also like you're not in charge of your own destiny for the most part. Like, you don't get to decide if you get a promotion or not, because that's ultimately the decision of some guy or some girl or whatever. It's just like, you got to hope that somebody dies in the job that you needed, so then you can apply for it. And it's like, I don't want to hope for somebody to die. That's a bad thing. Okay. Looking down the list real fast. Would you prefer to see gaming with some fun people, or would you rather see more politics related stuff? I'll leave it up to you. I should probably have my way to see viewership count. It says 4 on my heads up display, but I doubt it's 4. Or maybe it's just 4 phones sitting. And you might have your own person you want to raid into, which is totally fine. Right? Because you might have your own other channels that you look at. So I understand. Whenever people raid with me in chat, I don't always stick around, right? Oh, this guy's cool. The Celtic thickness guy, without any input from you. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing, but just without. I'm just going to tick 1/. So again, I'll be back in 5-ish hours. This dude is a Irish guy, and he's awesome because Irish are based as fuck. You can technically call him a VTuber because he has a little leprechaun that does stuff. Why does Waffbot say hello there? I don't understand why he does that. Every time I do a raid out, but whatever. It's fine. Okay. If I see you in a few hours, I see you. And if I don't, then I'll see you whenever I see you. Free Palestine. Trans rights and human rights. All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
They were streaming Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened, gaming streaming. Nice. Yo, Stiff and Jay, thank you for the raid too. Howdy, raiders. Goddamn. Picking up all the night crew now. Howdy, what you got up to, Stiffen? Sniffin? Hold on. I feel like you're touring me through a gallery of ideological theory and showing in vivid detail the way you described, and I really like the way your mind works. I appreciate that. Absolutely, lads. Almost 2 here. Yo. It's 8:49 a.m. here. 8:49 a.m. here. And I've been up all night pretty much. I was up for a few hours before I went live, and obviously been up a few hours since I went live, so you know. Every belief I have has been relegated via senses. You can't defer everything to your senses. You do at some point kind of rely on other people, but that's, you know, it's almost 4 a.m. Let's go, goddamn. Shout out to the overnight crew, yo. Little politics, a little fun, all reacts style. Not much. Gonna try and live stream a Pride event in a few hours. Yo, that sounds awesome. Well, I'll give you another shout just in case, because I think you came in at the same time as the previous raid, so you didn't get the little thing at the top. Why is it not doing the thing at the top? I want the button. Oh, it's on cooldown.